I want to ask everyone listening to just take a second and imagine a scenario with me.
Okay, let's hear it.
Imagine walking into a room completely empty-handed. You don't have a smartphone in your pocket. There is no smartwatch on your wrist.
You're totally off the grid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have carefully avoided, every single security camera on the street before walking through the door. You are emitting zero digital signals.
Right.
In that moment, are you invisible? Because according to the source material we are diving into today, the answer is absolutely not.
Yeah, it really forces a complete reassessment of what a digital footprint actually is. I mean, people have been trained to think of tracking as something transactional, right?
Right, like carry a phone.
Yeah, we carry a phone, we log into an account, or we, walk in front of a lens that physically records light. But this research suggests those physical devices they're completely optional.
It's wild. So today's deep dive is centered on a fascinating and frankly somewhat chilling slide deck we received. It's titled WhoFi, Identifying Humans Using Wi-Fi Signals.
It's a great deck.
It really is. And our mission today is to take the audience on a guided, slide-by-slide journey through this exact presentation. We're going to unpack how our mere physical presence in a world completely bathed in Wi-Fi is, well, enough to give away our identity.
We basically have to completely rethink what a wireless signal actually is to understand how this is even possible.
Right.
And walking through this deck sequentially it's the best way to build that mental model.
So let's open the deck. We'll start with the title slide and then flip right over to slide 2. The premise here is laid out with very stark simplicity. The headline reads, "You can be identified without being seen."
Very ominous.
Right. And below that, there are 3 bullet points: no camera, no phone, no wearable.
Right.
And the final takeaway at the bottom is, just by walking through Wi-Fi signals.
The authors are explicitly telling the audience right here that the vulnerability being exploited is not a compromised device.
Or like a facial recognition algorithm or something.
Exactly. The vulnerability is just your physical body existing in a space.
I have to push back a little here just on behalf of everyone listening, because this sounds like pure science fiction. We usually think of Wi-Fi as an invisible pipe, right?
A utility, yeah.
Yeah, it's the utility that delivers a 4K movie to our smart TVs and lets us scroll social media on the couch. How can an internet connection possibly know who I am? I mean, it's not taking a picture.
That is the core mental hurdle that the presentation addresses next. If we flip to slide 3, the researchers break WhoFi, which stands for Wi-Fi-based identification, by the way. They break it down into a clear 3-step process.
Okay, let's look at it.
So step 1 is signal distortions, meaning the human body actually alters Wi-Fi waves. Step 2 is unique signature, where those distortions form a specific pattern. And then step 3 is AI recognition, which matches that pattern to a person.
And looking at those steps, the implication is that the internet data itself it's completely irrelevant.
Totally irrelevant. The Netflix movie, the email you're downloading, none of that matters.
Yeah.
WhoFi ignores the data payload completely. It only analyzes the physical shape of the radio wave itself.
Just the wave.
Right. A Wi-Fi signal is a physical wave moving through the air at a specific frequency. And when that wave hits a solid object, it is bent, broken, and distorted.
Okay, so if the data is, say, a package being delivered by a truck, this system isn't looking at the package?
No, not at all.
It's looking at the dent I put in the delivery truck when I accidentally step in front of it.
That's a perfect way to put it. Your physical form forces the signal to interact with you. You are the obstacle altering the vehicle.
Which brings up a massive technical question, which luckily the deck anticipates.
Yeah.
Let's move to slide 4. Why does my body dent the truck differently than your body?
Or a couch, for that matter.
Right, or a couch. Slide 4 dives into the underlying physics of how Wi-Fi interacts with human biology.
And the terminology on this slide highlights 3 distinct physical reactions. Signals reflect, they scatter, and they attenuate. Yeah, attenuation simply means the signal loses energy as it passes through something. Because every single person listening right now has a unique physical shape and composition, we all alter those wave patterns in ways no one else can replicate.
Just thinking about human biology, humans are, what, mostly water?
Mostly water, yes.
And radio frequency waves interact heavily with water. Slide 4 explicitly states that this turns your physical self into a biometric sensor.
Exactly.
But, I mean, my distinct lack of muscle mass compared to a professional athlete, does that actually change how a radio wave behaves in my living room?
It changes it Drastically. And it's not just muscle mass. It is your bone density,
Yeah.
your exact height,
Oh,
the water content in your tissues,
wow.
and even the specific way your joints articulate, like the way your arm swings when you walk, will scatter a 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi signal differently than the way another person's arm swings.
So I'm essentially a highly specific breathing obstacle course for Wi-Fi.
You really are.
Okay, I buy the physics. My body is a unique obstacle course messing up the invisible waves in the room. But how on earth does a standard router actually measure that? I mean, my router at home is a cheap plastic box from my internet provider that can barely reach my kitchen.
Right. Everyone has that box.
So let's turn to slide 5 to see how they actually capture this.
So slide 5 introduces the specific metric making this whole thing possible. It's called CSI, or Channel State Information.
Okay, CSI.
And the slide notes it is captured passively from standard hardware. This does not require, like, military-grade radar.
That's the crazy part.
Yeah, it just uses the cheap antennas already sticking out of a standard home router.
The slide defines CSI as capturing, quote, granular real-time changes in Wi-Fi signal amplitude and phase across multiple frequencies and antenna pairs.
Sounds complicated.
Yeah, we cannot just read that and move on. You have to explain amplitude and phase to me like I'm 5 years old.
Fair enough. Think of a Wi-Fi wave like a literal wave in the ocean. Amplitude is the height of the wave. Phase is the timing of when that wave actually crashes on the beach.
Got it. Height and timing.
Right. So when your router sends a signal to your laptop, it's constantly checking the health of the connection by looking at those two things. If the wave hits your dense torso, it loses a lot of energy, so the amplitude drops.
The wave gets smaller.
Exactly. And if the wave bounces off your swinging arm, instead of traveling straight to the laptop, it takes a slightly longer path, meaning it arrives a microsecond later.
So the phase shifts.
You got it. The phase shifts.
So the router is constantly pinging the room, basically saying, did the wave get smaller? Did it arrive late?
And it does this thousands of times a second. That continuous status report is the channel state information.
Let me try to visualize this for everyone. If a Wi-Fi router is like a bright flashlight shining across a room, CSI is essentially measuring the exact high-resolution shadow that I cast on the opposite wall.
The slide actually validates that thinking perfectly. It calls CSI a high-resolution fingerprint of how your body disturbs the wireless environment.
A fingerprint.
And furthermore, because a standard router has multiple antennas, what the slide calls a multi-frequency, multi-antenna matrix, it's not just one flashlight.
Oh, right.
It's multiple flashlights shining from slightly different angles, creating a highly detailed, multi-dimensional shadow.
A multi-dimensional Wi-Fi shadow. That's incredible. But measuring a chaotic, wavy shadow is one thing, right?
Sure.
Translating that raw noise into a name tag that identifies a specific human being requires immense computational power. So let's look at slide 6, which maps the AI pipeline.
This is where we move from raw physics to artificial intelligence.
Yep.
The flowchart here goes from collect CSI to neural encoding and finally to process sequences.
Right.
The whole goal is to refine raw wireless noise into a precise, repeatable identity embedding.
But I have a major point of skepticism here. A house is not an empty white laboratory room.
No, it's very noisy.
Right. The environment is an invisible hurricane of data. You have ceiling fans spinning, microwaves running, neighbors' routers interfering. More importantly, what if I have a 60-pound golden retriever running through the hallway?
Good point.
I mean, a dog is mostly water, too. How does the AI know it's a dog and not a 60-pound child?
That is the monumental achievement of the neural encoding step shown on the slide. Because you're right, a simple filter cannot tell the difference between a dog and a child.
So what does it do?
Well, a dog walks on 4 legs. It creates a fundamentally different rhythmic sequence of signal distortions than a bipedal human. The neural encoding strips away the static, continuous noise, like the rhythmic, unchanging spin of a ceiling fan, and isolates the specific mathematical embedding of the target moving through the space.
So to strip away that level of chaotic background noise and differentiate a dog from a human, you need an incredibly sophisticated engine.
You really do.
And slide 7 reveals exactly what is under the hood of WhoFi. It uses a transformer neural network.
Yeah, this represents a massive cross-disciplinary leap in computer science.
So the slide highlights 2 features. First, temporal attention, which tracks how signals evolve over time as a person moves. And second, complex pattern learning, capturing nonlinear relationships across antennas.
Which is key.
But the really crucial detail is at the bottom. This architecture is best in class for sequential data and was originally designed for language.
Right. Transformer networks are the exact same underlying architecture that powers large language models.
Like the AIs that write essays and power modern
With
chatbots.
exactly those.
So this AI isn't looking at our multidimensional Wi-Fi shadows like a static photograph.
Hmm.
If it was built for language, is it literally reading our movements through the air the same way it would read a sentence in a book?
Think about how language works. It is just a sequence of events over time, where context is everything. The word bank means something different if the previous word was river versus money.
Oh, that makes sense.
The researchers realized that a person walking through a room is also just a sequence of events over time. The AI pays temporal attention to the sequence. Your foot lands. That creates a specific signal drop.
Right.
Milliseconds later, your hip shifts. Another signal shift. The AI weighs the importance of the hip shift based on the context of the foot landing.
It's treating my footsteps like nouns and my arm swings like verbs. It literally learns the physical grammar of my gait.
Exactly. It applies the fluency of language AI to radio frequency analysis. It learns your physical syntax. It's basically looking at a flip book of your Wi-Fi shadows over time and reading the story of how you move.
Okay, if the AI can read Wi-Fi like a language, we need to know how fluent it actually is. Let's flip to slide 8 and look at the hard numbers.
And the statistics reported here elevate WhoFi from a theoretical concept to a genuine technological breakthrough.
The big number right in the center of slide 8 is 95.5%. That is the rank 1 accuracy.
Which is huge.
Meaning the top identification result the AI produces matches the correct person perfectly, 95.5% of the time. And right next to that, it claims near perfect top 5 matching.
Meaning the correct person is almost always found within the top 5 candidates.
Consider the magnitude of a 95.5% accuracy rate for a technology with no cameras, no lasers, and no physical sensors attached to the subject.
Nothing.
It is merely interpreting invisible radio waves bouncing off the water and bone inside a human body.
It is staggering. But before the audience goes and unplugs every Wi-Fi router in their house and wraps their living room in aluminum foil,
Which I'm already considering.
we have to look closely at the methodology, and the researchers do provide this on slide 9, appropriately titled The Reality Check.
Good, I need a reality check right now.
A 95.5% accuracy rate is incredible, but in scientific literature, numbers like that always come with significant constraints. The slide lists 3 major caveats that act as massive hurdles for real-world deployment.
Okay, what's the first caveat?
A tiny data set. Only 14 participants were tested. The slide openly admits this is far too small to generalize to a larger population.
That's huge asterisk.
Second, it was a highly controlled lab environment. The conditions do not reflect real-world signal complexity. And third, scalability remains unproven.
Well, we discussed filtering out a dog or a ceiling fan earlier. I imagine there's an astronomical difference between filtering out one ceiling fan in a pristine laboratory and trying to identify someone in a real-world environment.
Like a crowded coffee shop.
Precisely. Imagine deploying this in a coffee shop. You have 30 people moving randomly. Dozens of cell phones are transmitting simultaneously. Cars are driving by outside, causing signals to bounce through the windows.
The metal espresso machine is reflecting 5 gigahertz waves unpredictably.
Exactly. A controlled lab with 14 people is fundamentally different physics than the attenuation chaos of everyday life. The AI might be fluent in reading the Wi-Fi language of 14 people in a quiet room, but a coffee shop is like trying to listen to a whisper at a heavy metal concert.
Yeah, it's a great analogy. And the slide sums it up at the bottom. Extremely promising, but not yet ready for deployment beyond research settings, so we can breathe a momentary sigh of relief. It's stuck in the lab, for now.
Technology rarely stays stuck in the lab forever, though. Processing power increases, models become more efficient, and real-world noise filtering improves.
It's only a matter of time.
Which brings us to the 10th and final slide of the deck. This slide forces the audience to confront the inevitable future of this tech. The title is just a single question. Should it exist?
It raises profound questions about passive surveillance and the future of civil liberties.
The slide lays out the ethical dilemma through 3 core traits of the technology. First, no opt-out, because subjects cannot avoid Wi-Fi environments. Second, no visibility, because the identification is completely imperceptible.
There's no glowing red light on a camera lens.
Exactly. And third, no consent, because it works without any user action or awareness.
Modern surveillance usually has a transactional nature. If a camera is pointed at you, you can see the lens.
Or if an app wants your location, your phone gives you a pop-up.
Right, asking for permission. But this technology is ambient. It extracts biometric data from the environment itself, just because your physical mass entered a room.
We have spent the last decade learning the rules of digital privacy. We use VPNs to hide our IP addresses. We wear hats or sunglasses to thwart facial recognition.
We avoid walking in front of security cameras.
But you cannot leave your physical body at home. You cannot change your bone density or the physical syntax of your walk. How do you hide from a sensor that uses your very existence as the biometric key?
The slide makes it clear. You don't. In a world saturated with Wi-Fi, opting out would require opting out of modern society entirely. There is no VPN for your physical body.
That is a terrifying thought.
Society will soon have to ask whether the convenience or security applications of a technology like WhoFi are worth the absolute erosion of physical anonymity.
I want to thank everyone listening for walking through this slide deck with us today. We've journeyed from the basic physics of how our bone density and water content attenuate invisible waves through the incredible leap of using language-based AI to read our physical movements like a sentence.
Right up to the ethical questions of ambient surveillance.
Exactly.
Understanding the mechanics of the technology is the critical first step. Once we understand how it works, we can have informed conversations about how or if it should be deployed.
And as we wrap up, there is one final provocative thought I want to leave the audience with. We all know that Wi-Fi signals famously pass through solid walls.
That's how you stream a podcast in your bedroom when the router is plugged into the living room wall.
Right. The radio frequency waves travel right through the drywall and the wood framing. So if a transformer AI can read your identity and learn the grammar of your movements simply from how your body disturbs a Wi-Fi signal.
And those signals pass freely through the exterior walls of your house.
Exactly. Does the concept of closing your front door even mean privacy anymore? If the invisible signals bouncing around inside your private living room can theoretically be intercepted and analyzed by an antenna parked on the street outside, are we ever truly unseen? Think about that next time you walk past your router.